And this is Juliet and Marion here today with Elders Wisdom, and I hope you've had a wonderful day. Sorry, we're starting just a little bit late, a couple of minutes late, because we've had a few disasters going on here, and it's not been technology this time, which is like,
it's a new reason. Oh, hello.
Okay, we've got double talk saying it's not been technology, and then what happens? It's technology. The technology intervenes in that moment. So, okay, let's. So hopefully, Facebook and everything is working. Yeah. So we've had a few disasters. So, yes, Marion, do you want to share what the awful thing that happened to you? Was it lunchtime today?
Yeah, it's around lunchtime. I had I'd put a pan that stuff had got stuck on it, so I'd filled it with water and boiled it to help to loosen all the muck on it. And then I'd left the kitchen for a while, and when I went back in, I'd forgotten I'd boiled it. And as I picked it up, I realised it was a pot full of boiling water, and it was greasy and dirty and a bit smelly, and it just went everywhere. Went all over me, all over the floor, burnt my foot.
Oh my God.
Didn't catch any of my skin. And then I've had a friend round helping me, and we've scrubbed it, and you can still smell it when you walk in the kitchen. It's just, and I don't know why, it's this weird, a bit burned, a bit oily, a bit old.
The worst
stuff. It was weird. You know, when it's weird, you think it smells really, really old, and actually it was all fresh stuff that I was using. Yeah.
Well, that's the worst thing, is that you burnt yourself so bad.
Yeah. No, it really scalded my foot. It's all right. It's wrapped up now. It's full of I've had ice on it for ages, and then I've put a load of lavender oil. Just put nearly a quarter of a bottle of lavender oil on it.
Yeah, lavender is very good. Also, colloidal silver. Silver is the treatment.
Yeah, I haven't got any colloidal silver here at the moment. Yeah, lavender oil's worked for me in the past, where it just stops the blister from getting too crazy.
And aloe vera.
Yeah.
You have aloe vera?
I do. I haven't put any of that on yet, because I'm just, I'm dealing with what I've got right now.
Okay, so you could stop and put some aloe vera if you like.
Yeah. So yes, it's been a challenging day, and just to, again, just the, and I'm tired of saying it, but just to be in such a helpless situation where my vision is impacting so many things. Like I would have noticed immediately that there was hot water in the pot. I wouldn't have even attempted to pick it up if my vision was working okay. Then the cleanup afterwards would not have looked and felt overwhelming, because I could see what needs to be done. Just so many parts of what happened on a moment by moment basis, where it's just completely, I'm incapable, and that just makes me feel really scared, because I'm then vulnerable. Because of my incapability, I'm also very vulnerable. So it's a big, it's almost like a shock that continues to repeat. It's repeated on repeat. This shock. It's a big thing to be dealing with and that's on top of all the shenanigans and all the shit and everything else that is going on, that's affecting everybody so negatively. The cherry on the cake.
It's such a lot to deal with, isn't it? I mean, it's huge. And you don't know moment for moment what's going to happen next when you're losing your vision.
No. And things are happening, and I am completely unaware because I'm not seeing them. So it's very difficult.
It is difficult. And we're reminded, it's like you're going through a really hellish situation. The external situations, what's going on in the world is really challenging as well. And then within that, there are so many people that have now been injured by the jabs and different things.
What the condition that I've got is considered autoimmune, and I've been diagnosed twice and given an autoimmune diagnosis, and both of them were following holiday jabs. And they seriously took my health away both times, on both occasions. The first time was with a thyroid disorder, and that was on an African trip, and I would have had all the jabs to go to Africa, and then the visual distortion started in India, and I've got the record card of all the jabs I had to go to India.
Yeah.
So it's almost like I'm living walking proof that this jab stuff's been going on for many, many decades.
Yeah.
And now they've upped it a level, haven't they, with the mRNA stuff? Just like, this is toxic shock on another dimension.
Absolutely. And
I now think all autoimmunity is immunization related. I think all autoimmunity is related to them trying to immunize us against whatever.
Yeah. And autism, the autism figures that are astronomical now. It's like, it used to be quite a rare condition, and now it's like every other person knows somebody who's autistic, or a family with
obesity. There was one fat kid in our class when I was a kid, and he stood out. He was a nice kid. He was very friendly and really sweet, but he was the only one. Do you know what I mean? And then when I got into adult school, there were one or two fat girls. It was like they were rare. They were really, really rare when we were at school, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't remember anybody being overweight, really.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
sick. I mean, I know quite. We had a disabled club next door to us in the local parish centre, and every Saturday morning there'd be a couple of dozen people with disabilities. We used to go in and help them out. And those disabilities ranged from complete vegetable in a pram to people who just weren't allowed to go to school because they weren't quite right, and everybody in between. Well, I mean, we all fall in that fucking bandwidth, don't we? Do you know? But that was the extent of disability. People with disabilities, and I'm from a fairly big town. It's not even like I was in a place that was isolated in any way. It was a big ordinary town. Yeah. And now they talk about the proportionate number of people with autism and labels that take us outside of the normal intellectual or capability shit. It's like every other person, isn't it? It's just crazy numbers.
Yeah. So people are waking up now because everybody's talking about the excess deaths and the jab, but it's like there was a significant number of people before that was talking as well about childhood jabs, and that, like, when I was a child, children had like maybe 3 maximum in their life, throughout their childhood, 3 or 4, and now it's like babies have like something like 72 within, the
first year or something,
and they're massively increasing them. So, it's good that it's coming to light, and it's been such a corrupt thing for at least 100 years. It's so embedded into the culture. This thought it's a good thing to do this, but it's not.
It's like it's impossible for it to be bad. That's the weirdest thing, isn't it? Because I was there. Going to Africa and roll my sleeve up. Yeah, I walked in and requested that they did this to me. Yeah, because the program was so good. I remember as a kid, germs as well, being worried about germs. Well, I was one of those kids who didn't like having sticky hands until I was every bit of me was sticky. Then I'm all right. But if it's just my fingers, it bothers me. And I remember as a kid having this, and people accepted it because it was like, oh yeah, it's germs. It is bad. Like, it's not. Germs aren't bad. They're just we're part of germs. Do you know what I mean? But this whole mind that there's a baddie out there. You can't see it. You can't touch it. You can't taste it. But we know it's there. We'll help you. You just have to buy our medicine and do what we tell you. Yeah.
Well, they've pushed that even more now. Little children are way more frightened of germs than previously.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot to expose the fact that even, the whole thing about, are viruses real or not real?
It's a computer program. There's never been one seen, but they've put them into a computer program, a model, and shown you what the model thinks it looks like. But nobody's ever seen a virus.
No, according to Koch's postulate, where you test if there is an infective agent there, they've never been able to isolate it.
Exactly.
Including the one that's meant to cause the disease that we just had a world shutdown on. Nobody isolated it as a definite thing.
AIDS, same thing. HIV, no isolation.
It's so corrupt. The whole thing's totally corrupt. So anyway, my intention this week is to focus on some uplifting things, as well as giving a few updates on some of the threads that we've been following. And before I do that, I just want to say, I just want to show we've got people here that have been sending messages. So I just want to put their messages.
Oh, yeah.
So a big hello to everybody that's here. Thank you so much for coming and sharing this video. Our intention is to bring light and information to people, and to share the fact that we have a means to actually uplift ourselves and move through what is actually a very, very challenging time. And that maybe we can reframe that this is part of our spiritual evolution. But it doesn't mean to say we sit on our bums and do nothing. We have to do something, because that's part of the evolutionary process. So let me just say hello to everybody. So we have Abigail here, says good evening, everyone. So hi, Abigail.
Hello, Abigail.
Hi. We have Debbie here, who says, I'm here and you are loud and clear. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Debbie. That's wonderful to hear that. Therese is here. She says hi, and a big heart. Jack's here. He says, good evening, lovely friends. You are both live on Facebook and YouTube.
Excellent. Thanks for the update, Jack.
Yeah, thank you, Jack. Well done for keeping a check on that. Abigail says lavender oil is very good for burns. Yeah.
Yes. Thankfully, I knew that, because if I hadn't known that, I think I might, I would be in a lot more distress now than I am.
Well, this is the point.
I was always told never put oil on it on a burn, and then it was like lavender oil. Chuck it on a burn.
This is the thing. People just do not realize that they can take care of themselves. There's so many things that we can treat ourselves. And now the thing is to go to the doctor at the smallest little sign of a spot or a sneeze or a sniffle or a sore throat. It's like, you don't need to give your power over to doctors all the time. There's so many natural remedies. There's so many ways we can just take care of ourselves. You know?
Absolutely.
I virtually have never been to a doctor in my entire life. Never. Maybe half a dozen times maximum.
Well, I went intentionally rolling up my sleeve and then went back with a fucking autoimmune diagnosis on a couple of occasions.
Yeah.
So not a place I choose to hang out ever, really. Never have.
No.
Never. Do you know, it's interesting, isn't it? I've never had. I stayed at my brother's house and he had this cupboard and it was full of paracetamol, Rennies, ibuprofen, whatever it's called, some kind of cream, hemorrhoid cream, and the cupboard was heaving. And I emptied it because it stunk. And I looked at, and I could see better at the time. They were all going out of date anyway. So I just emptied it. They were really upset that I'd thrown away all their first aid kit. That's what they called it. And I've never had any of them things in my house ever that I can remember. It's like, if I had a headache, you either go out and drink more or go to bed. Usually fix.
Or have a cup of tea. A cup of tea is
usually mine were hangovers, so you just drink more. That goes away.
I mean, usually headache
toxicity. I can sort myself out. I've really never needed. I think Alka-Seltzers was probably the closest I got to pharmaceuticals in my cupboard.
So Jack says, "What a horrid thing to happen, Marianne."
Oh, it was. Yeah, it was. It was very scary.
Yeah.
And it's like when time slows down, doesn't it? When a second lasts, feels like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't see anything, but I could hear. And then this suddenly realizing how hot it was, because I jumped out. I mean, I literally had to jump out of my clothes because I'd got it on my clothes, and I managed to do that without even realizing
That's
what
the worst thing, to get hot liquids on the clothes.
Yeah.
So Abigail says, Marion, do you have anyone who could come in to help you just now?
Well, that's interesting. So my friend Chris came. She only lives up the road from here, so she's on like 10 minutes on the bus, and she's here. And I've got I'm actually looking for a shopping assistant to help me shopping and chopping. So I am looking for somebody. I've actually got a friend who's doing it for me, because again, I just don't have the capacity to read, and using software to read for you takes ages. So even to do a little bit of research, I can't do that on my own anymore. So yeah, I've got somebody helping me to look for and be my eyes while I shop and chop and do things in the kitchen. But yeah, thank you for whoever said that, because it's something that is really important. I think that we all appreciate. It's really difficult to ask for support and help if you're not used to asking for it, if you've never needed to ask for it. And it doesn't even come up. You don't even think it. Just the thoughts are all self-devaluation. They're all self-attacking. It's really weird. I never think, oh fuck, I'm incapacitated here, I need help. I think, oh fuck, I'm incapacitated here, what a stupid cow. Do you know what I mean? It's really these thought processes that we've got that are so drummed into us.
Yeah, but you're self-blaming and self-hating because you've got
shaming, self-shaming, constantly self-shaming. It's really horrible.
You've been really badly injured. I mean, how many of us do that we feel so much shame because we're unwell, or we've had an accident, or
right, yeah, wrong, yeah,
yeah,
I know, it's massive.
I remember when I had a car accident and somebody overtaken me. I was driving. We had a big transit van. I was driving the van with the 3 children in, and this woman overtook, and she hit us as she came round.
Wow.
She hit us, and we flew over. Both her and us went over this precipice. I say precipice. It wasn't like hundreds of feet, but it was like 50 feet or something. And her car flipped upside down and landed on the roof, and we nosedived down. And it's like I said to the children, quick, get out, because I was worried it would go up in flames.
Yeah.
But I felt so ashamed afterwards that I had done something wrong, and it's like I didn't even get any help.
Yeah.
Because I just felt so bad about it. It's like, that's crazy.
I know.
So these complex psychological patterns, and yeah, it's all trauma, isn't it? It's totally trauma. Yeah. So before we move on, so would you like to put out a request if there's anyone out there that can come and help you? And is this something you're paying for, or you're asking?
That's what we're looking into, whether if it's a paid service, how much it is, because that again, there's restrictions on everything. There are some voluntary services, but it's somebody local, so it's somebody in the EC1 area or the N1 area of London. So it's quite a a specific task, if you like.
And you want them to...
I'll give everyone an update next week on how I'm getting on, because if we need any more support, then obviously it's a good, and we've got a nice forum here, and we've got a nice...
Well, yeah, because lots of people see this video, so maybe there's somebody that would like to help you, and so you...
Because one of the other things is I actually really love cooking, and I'm an amazing cook, so I'd quite like, and I'm not doing it at the moment because the preparation is just, I'm feeling it's impossible, so I'm not doing it.
Frightened of cutting your fingers and things when you're chopping.
Yeah, exactly. And but somebody that wants to learn how to cook, that would be a brilliant thing, because I know I'm a great teacher as well, and I am an amazing cook. I cook better than most people I know. Always have. If you don't like your own cooking, there's something wrong there. That's what I think. But yeah, so I've got loads of skills. Then the same I've got to offer, but what I don't want to make it is an exchange. I want it to be somebody that's actually doing it for whatever their reasons are. So if they need paying, or if they need to be taught something, that it's an exchange that's not forced on somebody. Because there's nothing worse if there is somebody just decides that they want what you've got and they'll give you some of theirs, but you didn't ever want any of theirs in the first place.
Yeah. So if anybody feels like they know somebody or they can help in some way, then do get in touch. How would they get in touch with you, Marion? Should we put an email at the bottom of this video or something? Or
you can do that.
And to send a voice message, it's much easier. Or to set up a, how can they do that? Because it's very hard for you to read messages now, isn't it?
Yes. Well, I mean, if you send me an email, I can get the software to read emails.
Okay, all right. So Carol says, Vibravox, so sorry to hear that, Marianne, about you getting burnt. And Abigail says, Mother Nature has a cure for everything. Oh, and we have From My Heart to Yours, which is a lovely new person, said, good evening, beautiful people. So glad to have made it here. My first live with you guys. Hi. Thanks for joining us. That's amazing.
What's the name?
From My Heart to Yours.
Oh.
Do you want to give a name, or do you want to stick with From My Heart to Yours? I mean, that's really expressive, isn't it? That's. I like often when I send a message to say From My Heart to Yours. But if you want to give us another name,
we're just wondering if we know the person.
Yeah, do we know you? We know you.
That's the length of my curiosity. That's it. Do I know you?
Okay. Let us know if we know you. So Debbie says, I am still in a huge pain. I've been 6 months now. I have had all tests which show nothing and offered nasty medications which I don't take. I'm healing myself. Yeah, well done.
What are Debbie's symptoms? Do we know? What's your major symptoms, Deb? What's the thing that bothers you the most?
Yeah, tell us what bothers you the most. Oh, From My Heart to Yours says, I've stayed in your beautiful house and came and gave you a cuddle. Oh, right. You've really got me puzzled now. Oh, la la. Well, I guess I will find out. Okay, so should we, what's the time? Oh, it's 6:25. Well, we have, sorry, just plugging in my laptop. So much has been happening and we are on a roller coaster. The world's on a roller coaster right now. And Sarah Lou.
Do you know Sarah Lou?
I'm not sure who you are, Sarah Lou. I know a number of Sarahs.
That's nice.
It's nice. Thank you for the cuddle, and I'm sure we'll have another one if you come back again. Okay, so what should we do? There's so much has been happening in the world, and we're trying to give you a little taste of, to keep you updated with particular key things. The main thing is the whole thread about the excess deaths and so on, and what's happening with that, and the jabs. The other thing is Julian Assange. The other thing we talked about last week was the Maryland Bridge.
Baltimore Bridge.
That bridge that got blown up, which they said a boat crashed into.
Oh, there's so many facts about that at the moment, isn't there? That is a proper fucking rabbit hole, that bridge.
I know, but before we start talking about it, I'm just like going to go over quickly. So we've got about half an hour left. I don't mind going over slightly. How are you feeling, Marion, if we go a bit longer? Oh, you've got a Zoom call at the end, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, so should we just go through what we've got and share what we've got? And I've also got a little channel in to finish from Next Level Soul, which is quite inspiring to lift the spirits, because although it feels like it's all shit and string beans, there are incredible things happening. So Debbie says, my head is in pain all time with noises, all the time less than sometimes. All the muscles in my body have clapped out and I can only walk for more than 50 meters looking normal. And then I walk like a cripple. It's very hard to explain as it's a strange internal relentless pain.
Feels like all your connective tissues having a bit of a, yeah. It feels very connective tissue related.
Absolutely, yeah.
Wow, poor you, Debs. What are you doing for support, lovely? Do you get lots of support?
She says she's reading my book at the moment, along with the others. So the trauma help, working, doing the trauma work, I think is really, really important. And, you know, if you've got any, you know, if you want to reach out for help or in any way that I can help you, just give us a message. Okay, so should we just jump in and see what we can share? We've got Dr. Aseem Malhotra. So he's the doctor that did get jabbed in the beginning, and then his father died. His father was jabbed, and then his father died from the jab, and he was very distressed about it. And then he went kind of he went rogue from the mainstream and started talking about the dangers of the jab, and he's been going all around the world now, speaking to governments and so on, and really calling out the pharmaceutical companies, etc., etc. So he's about to go to Finland because in Finland they have just introduced the COVID pass, which is a crime against humanity. So he's going to give evidence in Finland as an expert witness. He's going to speak in Helsinki District Court on the safety and efficacy of the COVID mRNA jabs. And I have got, let me see, I have got a 1-minute clip of that to watch. So should we quickly see if I can quickly screen share? I'm getting better at this, I hope. Screen share.
And can you see the right one?
Hello, Finland and Suomi, as you say in Finnish. My name is Dr. Aseem Malhotra, consultant cardiologist. I'm coming to Helsinki next month in April to partner with Mika Vokala in his legal battle against the Finnish government and Phaser, an iconic Finnish cafe restaurant business. In the court, I'm an expert witness on the safety and efficacy of COVID vaccines. This is a very unique and important case in the world, as the highest government body is being sued for human rights violations done through the COVID pass. Our basic human rights are at stake, and they should never have been threatened to have been taken away by coercing a pharmacological intervention, which likely should never have been approved for use in a single human in the first place. On the evening of Thursday, the 11th of April, we will have an evening event in central Helsinki when you can hear the whole team speak, including myself, because the court and its opponents do not allow us to film the actual hearings themselves. You do not want to miss this event. Please book your tickets by clicking on the link below, and I look forward to seeing you there.
So what are the tickets for?
That's to listen to the live stream.
Okay.
Yeah. So just a quick update on Andrew Bridgen. I realise I've got Julian Assange to share about him as well. So Abigail says, Marion, and to everyone, sending you all so much love and healing. Thank you, Abigail. Let's send all that love and healing out to everybody, because we're all going through a shit time right now. So Andrew Bridgen MP, that's trying to bring the debate to Parliament about the excess deaths. I haven't heard any more about that recently, but he's also doing a court case against Midazolam Mat, you know, the criminal that euthanized all our elders, all our elderly population with midazolam, etc. So he's bringing a court case for defamation against him, and he did win the first part. I think he won the permission to go ahead with the court case, but he's also been landed with £40,000 fees. So he's fundraising. I have put the link on my Facebook page. He's fundraising. If people can share that and support him, because his next thing is that he's going to do a private prosecution against Midazolam Mat for crimes against humanity as well. So we need to keep getting behind Andrew Bridgen. Okay, so do you want to say anything about that, Marion?
Is there anything? What can we do to support him? Is there anything specific that we can do? Is there anywhere specific people can go?
Yeah, there's a link. It's a fundraiser, a GoFundMe link. So he's trying to raise £40,000. That's the fees that he's been charged for the first step in this court case.
So we'll have the link underneath this video.
Yeah, I'll put the link underneath this video. That it'll take me a little while after, but if you come back to this video on YouTube, then I put it on Rumble.
Just Google GoFundMe Andrew Bridge and they shall find it, shouldn't they?
Yeah, we need to get behind him because his Midazolam Matt.
Yeah, we need to get
Does Parliament pay for his fees? No.
Who?
Rishi.
He's made millions on PPE, hasn't he? He don't matter. He can pay the fees. He's all right.
Him and Rishi Sunak. Rishi Sunak put 500 million into the jabs, developing jabs. I mean, they're criminals. They're complete criminals. Anyway, so that's that. And then just a thumbs up, not a thumbs up, a thumbs down. Did you hear about Boeing? Have you heard what's been happening with Boeing aircraft?
They're falling apart.
They're totally falling apart. And there was
they stopped all their quality assurance. There's the guy, the whistleblower that got shot, was supposed to have shot himself in the head or something, had said they were already reducing the number of quality officers, and they ended up removing the quality department completely. And now all these planes are falling apart because they're not being tested properly.
That's right. And the people working on the planes.
You can't blame anyone, because if you blame someone, you're racist or you're sexist. So you can't actually give anybody any kind of accountability anymore, even if it means the ring falls off a plane. You can't be blamed if it was your job to make sure it didn't fall off. You can't be blamed.
No. Well, apparently he was over knowledgeable. People didn't like him because he kept following up. He kept saying, this needed to be checked, and it wasn't checked. So he would follow through and make people check it.
Yeah.
So that's why he's over 6,000 people. This is it. Over 6,000 people have died in these accidents with Boeing in the last 6 months or so.
And it's every day. Every day there is more than one. Every day at the moment, these incidents.
So apparently there's an app now that when you're going to book a flight, you can check that it's not a Boeing flight you're going to be on. So, and the people making the planes say, don't fly Boeing. They wouldn't fly on it.
No.
Okay, so then we have the bridge collapse that we were talking about last week. There's a ton of things coming out, and Michael Flynn, who's a general in America, said definitely a black swan event. Very suspicious. He says, don't jump at the first thing that the media tell you, because it's certainly not that. And
well, the fact they said it's not a terrorist attack within 5 minutes of being on the fucking scene of the crime. Like, what? It's definitely not a terror attack. Definitely, no.
No, and this
the FBI guy, it was only given the job the day before. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. But an investigative journalist said that, there's something going on. There was some intervention on the communication. Somebody took over the ship.
Yeah.
Possibly. And that takes really extensive research to try and figure out.
And the black box went down for precisely 2 minutes.
Yeah. And that apparently the same day as the bridge collapsed, Russia announced that the US and UK were involved in the shooting.
The Moscow shootings, yeah.
So that was a distraction from that.
Yeah.
And that now the fact of the bridge being collapsed means that all the military in America is really kind of...
well, it's the biggest hazardous waste pathway around the planet as well, involves that port. It's all about hazardous waste. That bridge was how they were able to get the hazardous waste moving, because there are tunnels under the river, but they can't take the hazardous waste under the tunnels because it's too dangerous. But it is actually a massive hazmat, or whatever they call it, zone, that port.
Yeah. So that's ongoing. That's really ongoing. So Abigail says, Marion, we cannot say anything here in Scotland due to the hate crime bill.
Oh, yeah.
We cannot fight the Scottish government. It's a joke.
No, you can't have an opinion of them unless it agrees with them, can you?
That's right. And a lot of it is around all this transgender ideology. So that's interesting, Abigail, because I watched somebody called, what was he called? Billboard Chris, campaigning against gender ideology in Ireland. He's traveling the whole world and he's going from town to town to town, talking about it and challenging it and telling people to be good parents and not to give their children puberty blockers. Well, in this little video that was on Twitter, he was talking about this, and the Garda, is it the Garda, the Irish police?
The Garda.
Garda, yes, came up, and this policeman, like, you're causing a disturbance here. Don't go into the Disney store. And he goes, well, I didn't go into the Disney store. But the policeman kept insisting he had. And he says, well, look on the CCTV screens. You won't see me in the Disney store.
Yeah.
It goes round and round and round. There's loads and loads of people coming around and saying, thank you for standing up. The same way, Abigail, it's like people in Ireland are really fed up with all this, hate crime bill and transgender ideology, and everybody's frightened to say the truth, that we're forced to say lies all the time to try and stay alive, because if you say the truth, then you're going to get attacked in some way. Well, I'm not prepared to do that. So we'll find a way.
And the biggest attack they've got is to call you racist. The fact that they're now saying hate speech is imprisonable offence. They're making what they call racism an imprisonable offence. And I don't care. I'm always going to hold my hand up. I'm absolutely racist. I love the human race. You just can all fuck off.
So apparently in America as well, you can't even, you can get done for hate crimes for talking about your own belief system, and that to talk about Christianity is to be guilty of a hate crime.
Wow.
And that Biden apparently on Easter Day, he didn't celebrate or mention Easter at all. But
no, it was Visibility Day, wasn't it? Trans Women Visibility Day or some nonsense.
He made it an International Transgender Day of Visibility, and he cancelled Easter. Can you imagine? He cancelled.
Christ wishes they'd fucking done.
Oh my God.
Then he wouldn't have been hung on the cross.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 2,000 years too late. Cancel Easter, definitely.
So we have a few people have said things. So yeah, Abigail's, we're totally fed up. Love that J.K. Rowling came out fighting. We have to fight. We have to absolutely keep fighting. We can't.
Oh yeah, is she Scottish or does she live there or something?
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Does she live in Scotland? Who was that who said that? Does she live in Scotland? Is that why she's been able to make a big stink?
I don't know. But from my heart to yours says Cornwall is just the same, but I've noticed more and more people are starting to stand up for each other and overcome fear. We are uniting together slowly. Yes, we have to. We have to unite. We have to stand together, because it's unthinkable what will happen if we don't stand together and speak out, isn't it? Yeah. We're being corralled into this world where we're too terrified to stand up against evil. And who was the guy? Burke said that for evil to exist, it's only necessary for good people to do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if we don't like what's happening, we have to stand up and speak out. So the bravest person speaking out is Julian Assange, and I've got a little bit about Julian Assange to share before that. But before that, I just want to mention, and I will put the link underneath here, there was a very, very good interview by Tucker Carlson of a doctor. What was he called? The doctor is called Dr. Michael Nehls. I think that's how you say his name, Nehis or Nehis. And he's written a book called The Indoctrinated Brain. And he said about the illness that went round that made us all locked down, and the jabs that came out as a result of it, is that it causes neuroinflammation. So when you get jabbed or when you're infected with the bioweapon, it causes neuroinflammation, and a cytokine storm which attacks the hippocampus in the brain. So the hippocampus is the part of the brain that's all about memory, all about processing memory from trauma and taking it from where your brain is stuck and going over and over again that same event, and you're stuck in trauma time, and making it memory that you can recall, and it's over and done with, it's in the past, and you know, you can move on from it. So the hippocampus is being destroyed by these cytokines. So he calls it the emotional immune system in the brain. It's being totally destroyed by the jabs and the bioweapons.
So Sherry Tenpenny talks about that a lot, doesn't she? I don't know how much detail she goes into it, but I know from even 3 or 4 years ago when she was talking about the cytokine storms and the neurodegeneration stuff that she's been covering for years as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So we already know that trauma causes people to be locked down into a high level of reactivity. So they are working. It's actually worth listening to this interview because he also talks about who's that German guy that is really a bit of a weird guy that's behind the whole economic forum. Come on, what's his name?
Oh, Anil Schwab.
Anil Schwab, yeah. So he said that they actually prepared. He's listened to a meeting where they're talking about the different ways they can make people fearful. And that's what's in the media all the time. It's like one fearful event after another. And he said, like, when you have a feeling like, okay, I'm in this bad situation, but the grass is greener on the other side, like in Russia, maybe it's better, or in France, it's maybe better. So you've got some way out, psychologically out of this situation. But with the way they're coalescing, all the countries together and making this blanket fear everywhere, there's no better. There's nothing better. So you're stuck in this endless fear. And now because they're eradicating the past and eradicating our language skills and our pronouns, and there's no way of differentiating, everything is being made the same. There's no past that we can look back to, oh, it was better then. So all that happens is like we're mired into this complete
desperation in the present moment.
Desperation of fear. And that together with the jab is destroying our brains. And that's why it's so hard to get people motivated. So he says, this doctor, like it's destroying our psychological resilience and our curiosity, amongst other things. So we have to ramp up that resilience and so on, and turn off the TVs, which is what we said before.
Yeah.
Okay, so Abigail says that she lives in Edinburgh, J.K. Rowling. And Jack says everything has been stood on its head straight out of 1984. Windsor Smith was tortured for insisting that 2 + 2 = 4, or something like that. Don't remember exactly. Yeah, it's exactly what's going on. We're in the most dystopian nightmare imaginable. So let's see, what's the time? Okay, so we have a choice of whether we listen to Julian Assange's wife about the court ruling. I think we ought to listen to her, really. And we've got the Next Level Soul thing as well, which is more hopeful. But should we just listen quickly to Julian Assange?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me figure out how to do that. And share screen. Okay. Bear with me. Oh yeah, this is it.
Today's decision is astounding. The courts recognize that Julian is exposed to a flagrant denial of his freedom of expression rights, that he is being discriminated against on the basis of his nationality, an Australian, and that he remains exposed to the death penalty. And yet, what the courts have done have been to invite a political intervention from the United States to send a letter saying it's all okay. I find this astounding. 5 years into this case, the United States has managed to show the court that their case remains an attack on press freedom, an attack on Julian's life. What the courts haven't agreed to look at is the evidence that the United States has plotted to assassinate Julian, to kidnap him. Because if it acknowledges that, then of course he can't be sent to the United States. Julian is a political prisoner. He is a journalist, and he is being persecuted because he exposed the true cost of war in human lives. This case is a retribution. It is a signal to all of you that if you expose the interests that are driving war, they will come after you. They will put you in prison and they will try to kill you. Julian is just a few days away from the 5th anniversary of his arrest and imprisonment in Belmarsh prison. He has been in Belmarsh for 5 years without conviction, and the charges against him are to punish him for publishing the truth, for publishing evidence of the war crimes committed by the country that is trying to extradite him. Now, the UK courts have invited the United States to issue assurances. The Biden administration should not issue assurances. They should drop this shameful case that should never have been brought. Julian should never have been imprisoned for a single day. This is a shame on every democracy. Julian is a political prisoner. He is a publisher, and he is being published for expressing his political opinion, for expressing freedom of the press in its purest form. Free Julian. I ask everyone to rally behind him and call for his freedom, call for the Biden administration to drop the case and support House Resolution 934 before the U.S. Congress to drop this case. Thank you.
That was Attorney Stella Assange.
Wow. She held it together really well, though, didn't she? I would never be able to do that. I'm not emotionally able to cope.
I know, what an incredible thing to go through. I feel so sorry. I mean, what was he, 7 years in the Ecuadorian embassy?
I don't know how long he was in there, a while though, yeah.
Yeah, just because of false charges, but false charges being brought against him. They did the usual thing in the beginning of saying that he'd committed rape, he'd raped somebody, and then the woman who he was meant to have raped said, no, I wasn't raped.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't drop the charges, and then they were trying to, that was in Sweden. Sweden was trying to get him sent to Sweden. And then he went into the Ecuadorian embassy to protect himself, and then he couldn't get out because the British government spent like millions on guarding the Ecuadorian embassy. They had police outside 24/7 for that whole length of time, 7 years or whatever. Nobody was allowed to go and see him, really. Well, he had a few people going in, but he couldn't get out of there. And he got all sorts of human rights decrees saying that he was being treated inhumanely and so on, and that he should be freed. But
it's just walking evidence, isn't he, that there is no justice. The system that calls itself a justice system is what Jack was saying. It's a total inversion. It's a protective mechanism that's completely outside of justice. Yeah,
it's too sad for words. I mean, it's too distressing for words. But then this woman's, is it Stella, her name? I can't remember what she's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so courageous, and Julian is so courageous that, he
like, how can it happen? How can it happen that a human being that 99% of us know doesn't deserve this in our country, on our doorstep, and yet he's still in there after 5 years. How have ordinary people not been able to come together to rescue this one guy from the system that is like, not one of us knows how that system has got as much control as it has. But we're so impotent against it as well. And he's proof of that, isn't he? Of our impotence, if you like, against that massive system.
But then looking again, flip that on the other side. I mean, how amazingly courageous this man is, Julian Assange. Beyond. I mean, that is something to be celebrated, isn't it? That rather than this feeling of helplessness that prevents us from doing it.
We can celebrate how brilliant he is, but it's like, if we were that brilliant, would we be in jail? So it's like, it makes it impossible for us to celebrate our brilliance, because they then use it against us. Do you know what I mean? So in the world that we live in now, being brilliant is dangerous.
Yeah, but there's another level, which is, that he's totally standing in his truth, and that power, the power of the truth, is higher than anything. So these people that are so corrupt and are so worried about being exposed, like Biden, the cabal, everyone, he exposed the war crimes of Iraq, and he exposed Pizzagate with Hillary Clinton and John Podesta and everything, and Obama, how they were trafficking children, and
they're still running the country. It's like, this is what really boils my blood, is that we all know there's no doubt to some of the evidence that we've been presented over the years, and yet the evidence has made no difference to the system. The president of the biggest fucking nation on the planet apparently is the biggest crook, one of the biggest crooks on the planet, and we know it. So many know it. And if you didn't know it, all you have to do is open your eyes and ears. The evidence is hitting us in the face every day.
Yeah, but they are completely morally bankrupt as well. So, in terms of winning, they haven't won.
There is no win. This is the thing, though. There is no win or lose, is there? It's like aiming to win. And the competition is, to me, it's human. It's against human to be in competition.
Yeah.
And this whole thing about, the survival of the fittest. What a pile of shite that is. And it bears no resemblance to reality on so many levels. And yet it's been preached as a scientific foundational thing about humanity, and it's not even true. It's another load of fucking propaganda,
Mm-hmm.
So this competitiveness and the fittest and the progress, fuck it all. It's like, no, those things happen naturally. There's no need for anyone to force them. There's no need for any single individual human to try and take control over those things. Evolution, progress, all those things happen regardless of, and us being competitive, I think, is just a degrading of who we are and how our society is.
Yeah, well, at the moment, Julian Assange is becoming a bit like Jesus Christ being crucified on the cross, but it's like he's showing, a spiritual quality which is way higher than the bankrupt, the corrupt,
Yeah.
So I think we have to know that it's important that standing in one's truth and having the courage to do that despite everything is actually really, really important. And I got a feeling of that years ago when I was created something called the Walk for Life. It's a 1,000-mile walk from the Polaris base in Scotland to Greenham Common. We did it over 3 months. And we were arrested in Leeds. We were sitting down chanting with some Buddhist monks, Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, and we got arrested for causing a disturbance. We weren't causing a disturbance. It was just like somebody didn't like the fact we were protesting. Yeah. We had pictures of Hiroshima on the ground because these were Japanese monks that, Nikodatsu Fuji, who was doing world peace walks and fasting and so on. Anyway, we got carried off to the police station and locked in the cells. And we decided just to continue chanting the whole day. And they took us up to the courts and we refused to answer any questions. We just kept chanting.
Excellent.
And then we got back down to the cells. I suddenly got this feeling like there is a level when there's nothing that they can do to harm you. Even if they take my life at this point or imprison me, they cannot harm me. They can not have power over me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the really important place to be. They cannot have power. Do not give them our power. And in the end, they took us back up into the court and we said, we will only stop chanting, somebody, a spokesperson, if the court sits silently and listens to us chant 3 times, and then we'll answer your questions. So they did that. They agreed to do that. And then they let us out. They let us out of the prison so that there are no charges or anything. So
it is always our compliance and our consent that create their power. Always. They don't have power without our compliance or consent.
And this is really, really important. They do not have power without our compliance. And this is what Julian Assange is showing us. I mean, he could have caved in years ago, but he didn't. He's just held that moral high ground and stood in truth and stood in transparency. At any point, he didn't have to take that path in which he exposed. He knew it was dangerous what he was doing, exposing, the global cabal and the, all those people doing the military industrial complex and so on. He knew it was dangerous what he was taking on. It's like Kennedy was shot for the same thing. So many people have been shot for trying to expose it, but he stood his ground and he's still standing his ground. And what we can do is to get behind him. Each one of us listening to this can, share, keep Julian Assange's profile high. They have to stop. They have to let him out. So, okay, there's a few messages. We are up to time virtually. We've got 1 minute left, so I won't be showing the next level soul, but I will put the link to it underneath. So it's a woman channeling the Arcturians, and they're saying,
what are our messages that we've got here?
Yeah. Okay, so I will just tell you the messages. Okay, so from my heart to yours says, yes, but being in jail is teaching us compassion and helping us to wake up to the truth. There's a lot of things teaching us compassion at the moment, that's for sure, and waking us up. And Jack says, I still remember when the world was outraged by banana republics persecuting journalists. Now Britain is doing it. I no longer recognize this world. But that's right. I mean, it's like a cancer, isn't it? This ideology, this globalist ideology has spread like a cancer across the world. Mm. But not in Russia, But Putin is standing up against it. He's calling it out, which is great. From my heart to yours says, it is making a difference for the future as the more corrupt, the more we wake up and unite. This process has to happen for the darkness to come out, to be transmuted into light again. Yes, this is important. Thank you, Debbie. She says, another excellent program, Marion and Juliet, and thank you so much. Everything you talked about were my thoughts too.
It's really nice, isn't it, when you start to realize that all the information you're looking at is not resonating, and then you hear someone who says the same thing and you go, thank God for that. Yeah, it's really nice to recognize there is a community of us, and we do think and feel the same way on many, many levels, and at the same time we all have differences that we don't care about.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would just sum up that next level soul channeling, basically the Arcturians saying that it's very interesting that we have to learn to regulate our nervous system. We have to heal our transgenerational and collective trauma, personal trauma, and to be aware that it's fear that is being used against us to control us, not to be fearful, that a portal has opened. And we talked last week about the April 8th eclipse being a massive portal. We have to stay confident, stay in our hearts that love is the most powerful energy in the universe. We have to really open our hearts and stay with the love, and you know, this is going to take us through. And don't be fearful. Don't fall for the trap. That's what they want us to do, is to fall into fear. That damages the brain, damages everything, and shuts us down. So we will not be shut down. We will stand up no matter what. We are strong. There is a higher truth, and that's what we abide by. So, okay, a few more messages. Thank you both. Oh, Saz, hello. I haven't seen you for a long time. Great sharing and discussion. Thank you for coming, Saz. That's wonderful. And Jack says, keep the show going. You two are an inspiration. Thank you. And
is that Sass Bullock?
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Wow, it's a long time since I've heard that name. That's really nice. That made me smile.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's
hello,
really
lovely.
nice. Yeah. So I just put your message up again, Sass. So bless you. Sending you big hugs. Didn't we do a show together years ago? I can't remember. A few years back when all this craziness started. Okay. All right. So, you know, having some feedback about, you know, what we do, what's helpful to people. It's really, you know, that's really helpful, because it's like I'm scratching my head. It's like how to, you know, how to go through. There's so much information. What is the core message? What's the core thing? So it's like I really want to support people. I want to bring awareness to what's going on. You know, maybe people will watch this video that's not thought about these issues before, so it has that possibility of awakening people. And you know, there's lots of ways we can help ourselves, which is like what we're sharing. And Marion, you are an amazing example that even though stricken with this incredible challenge right now, you're not giving into it, and it is scary and it's overwhelming for you, and you show incredible resilience and resource in that. And we just pray that you know, that all the healing work that you're doing, that will turn this condition around.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, I guess we better go now, so bye everyone.
See you next week. Oh, Monday, I think it's 7:17 p.m. is a hum. You need to hum for 5 minutes and focus on your inner sun, your inner spark, your inner light.
Yes, so that's the solar eclipse. It's taking this path across America, and it's going over 7 towns. Is it called Nineveh?
Yeah. And
it's the biggest portal for 5,000 years for humanity to transform. And by humming for 4 minutes, and is it 23 seconds when it passes?
4 minutes 23.1 seconds.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Sasha. So Sasha Stone and various people are going to be at this place in Mexico. What's it called?
Going to be in the zone of silence. It's near Durango, which is up in the highlands, in the desert, in the mountaintop desert, basically, is what
it looks like the belly button, and it's a very
significant navel from the sky. It actually looks like a big belly with a big belly button on it, and the belly button is the top of one of the peaks. I think that's where they're going to be. But that whole area, the silent zone, the zona silencia, I think it is the way they'd say it in Spanish, is it's a really interesting place. It's got a very distorted magnetic field, so you can't use a compass there.
So it's a very powerful place. So it's when the eclipse,
magnetic ecosystem, if you like. Yeah.
Yes. So we'll put the precise time underneath this video, and it might take me
7:17 p.m. in the UK. I'm sure it's either 7:17 GS. What's it called? GMT, or 7:17 British summertime. I'm not sure, one or t'other.
Okay, there is a site that shows the path of the eclipse and where it's going to pass over at a particular time, so you could Google that.
Yeah, NASA have done some quite nice work on that.
Yeah. So if for any reason you lose us on YouTube, always look for us on Rumble or BitChute, because I'm posting the videos there, and if you want to share them. So just to wind up now, Debbie says, yes, I agree that Marion is an example and she helps me with my condition.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's very good helping you, Debbie, because it's fucking shit, isn't it, being in this symptom-ridden existence there. Anyway.
Yeah. And Vibra Voxel, my lovely darling Carol, says, bless you, darlings.
Oh.
So big hugs to you up there in Scotland. Yeah, lots of love to you. Okay, thank you, everyone. Debbie's laughing. Debbie's laughing. Okay, lots of love to you.
That's the best medicine. There we go. I'm very pleased to give you some laughter.
Yeah, yeah. Laughter is very good. So keep laughing, everybody. Okay, lots of love and see you next week.
Bye.
Okay, bye.